What do we have here? What is OPT? Types of OPT. OPT eligibility. OPT employment. OPT employment timeline. What is OPT? Optional Practical Training, OPT, is a temporary employment authorization for graduates on F1 visa for a period of 12 months approved by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, to work in the U.S. directly related to their field of study during and after their degree completion. Types of OPT: pre-completion OPT and post-completion OPT. Pre-completion OPT. F1 students, whose I-20 program date has not expired, can apply for pre-completion OPT. In order to be eligible for this, one must have been enrolled on an academic course for 1 full year. Students opting for pre-completion OPT can work part-time while their university schools are in session. This work experience must be related to their field of study. Students can work full-time when the university schools are not in session. An F1 student can start pre-completion OPT only after receiving an approval from USCIS. Post-completion OPT. An F1 student can start post-completion OPT directly related to his/her major field of study on completion of graduation. F1 students can start their post-completion OPT initially for a period of 12 months only after receiving an approval from USCIS and after the issue of EAD. Applicants do not need a job offer to apply for OPT. Periods of pre-completion OPT will be deducted from the periods of post-completion OPT. OPT eligibility. To be eligible, F1 students must have been rightfully enrolled on full-time courses for a period of 1 full academic year. Must not have had OPT authorization for the same degree level for a period of 12 months. Must not have been on full-time curricular practical training, CPT, for a period of 12 months for the same degree level. OPT employment must be directly related to the F1 student's degree program. Be appropriate for the F1 student's degree level. OPT employment timeline. OPT students have a grace period of 90 days of unemployment during their 12-month OPT period that starts on their OPT start date, which is indicated on their EAD card. Students on OPT STEM extension have an additional 30 days that sums up their total unemployment duration to 120 days during their 29-month OPT period. OPT employment types. Paid employment. A student may work part-time for 20 hours per week or full-time, at least 40 hours per week, depending on the type of OPT. Multiple employers. A student can work for multiple employers, but all the employment must be related to his/her field of study. Short-term multiple employers. Students working as musicians or artists can work for multiple short-term employers. However, the student should have a list of all the short-term employers, work duration and dates. Work for hire. This employment, which is also called as 1099 employment, enables the employee to perform services on contractual basis than on an employment basis. The company must be an E-Verify company. The student must provide the evidence of contract period with that company. If desired by DHS, student must also furnish the name and address details of the contracting company to DHS, if requested. Self-employed business owner. A student on OPT can start their own business and be self-employed. The business must be related to student's area of study and he/she must have all the appropriate business licenses. Student must actively take part in his/her business activities. Employment through a consulting firm. A student on post-completion OPT must be able to show proof that he/she has worked on an average of at least 20 hours per week while they have been employed by consulting firm. Unpaid employment. A student can work as an unpaid intern or volunteer for at least 20 hours per week, as long as this practice doesn't violate any labor laws. The student must provide an evidence of unpaid employment for at least 20 hours per week from his/her employer. Traveling abroad during OPT. Documents required to re-enter the U.S. on valid F1 status before the completion of course: valid passport, valid F1 visa, endorsed I-20. Each travel authorization signature is valid for 6 months from the date it was last signed and must be valid at the time of entry to the U.S. Documents required to re-enter the U.S. on valid F1 status after the completion of course during OPT. All of the documents listed above. Proof of employment or offer letter. EAD card. Visa status during OPT. F1 students on OPT will hold F1 status in the U.S. F1 students on OPT need to obtain a travel signature on their I-20 to re-enter the U.S. on valid F1 status after traveling abroad. Join us now on our social media channels. Got questions? Call us now on 844-678-4427/834 OPTGHAR, or email us at cs@optghar.com.